Hello everyone, and thank you so much for being part of Joyasonyelive. As usually, promises to be very interesting and enlightening. Today is Friday, and as you know, every Friday is the Buy Naija Hour here on Joyasonyelive. And you know, we have been doing some sort of a series, really, achieving rapid interventions for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. We've had the part one where we talked about faith-based organizations, non-governmental organizations. We've also had the other part where we talked about the federal government and how the ministries and MDAs in the federal can assist MSMEs. Today we'll be focusing on states and the ministries, departments and agencies within the state and local government to ensure that we have that rapid growth within the MSMEs, that's the micro, small and medium enterprises. As I said earlier, it promises to be interesting, especially because our resource person is none other than Apostle William Tabil, Chairman Buy Naija project, one who is very passionate about driving the Buy Naija cause and speaks just as passionate. Thank you again for being part of the Buy Naija Hour here on Joyasonyelive.
Yeah, good evening, Joy, and good evening to all my micro, small, and medium enterprise people. And good evening to the good people of Nigeria. If I speak Yoruba, Eku, high price of fuel.
Eku, high price of fuel. That's interesting, but if you have to speak a language, it means it has to go round.
But I don't have to balance everything.
We have about
everywhere.
500. Yes, you do. We have about 500
so
languages and dialects.
Okay, I withdraw the Eku. I withdraw it.
Because I, for one, I come from a minority. I cannot allow you. I cannot allow you to marginalize
when
me
they teach
on this
some
program.
of us, they will speak Latin, and I'm not a Latin person. They will put ceteris paribus. We will speak all the languages of the earth. However, it's a good thing, and it's very exciting to be alive and to be in Nigeria and Africa at this time, in these challenging times. So we want to prefer solutions rather than agitating and complaining.
Like we've often heard.
Yeah. People talk is cheap. You can complain from now till tomorrow.
Exactly.
But we need solutions template providers. Today in our clients, you can get all your PhDs without solving any problem. After all, that Nigeria's challenges did not arise today for lack of intellectual capacity, for lack of people who went to America, England and studied plenty book, and locally we've had so many plenty book and English speaking and all manner of grammar. At the end of the day, we still have to solve problems. So problem solving is not, like people say, talk is cheap, but we just have to provide solutions in our talks. So today we want to talk about states, ministry, department and agencies. Everybody is concentrating on federal government, but the states have enormous power and enormous resources and grassroots capabilities, including the local government. But before I will go to the states, I will talk about the regional level solutions template providers that have a lot of capacity and money. So we also add NDDC, Niger Delta Development Commission.
Right.
Yes, we just let us smuggle them in. It will be unfair to go to the states and forget this play. And I think we have the Northeast Development Fund and so many other areas that people can use the same template to operate. Okay,
you set the pace. What would you rather we start with? The regional intervention bodies, or let's just delve into the states and then move our way?
You can't delve into states without going to that regional.
Now let's talk the region.
NDDC, Niger Delta
Development
Commission has been in the eye of the storm for quite some time.
Exactly.
Because they receive a lot of money. They have a lot of capacity. There's so much expectation to solve the problem of the Niger Delta, developmental problems, restiveness, insecurity, theft of petroleum, and all manner of things, and especially the employment opportunities. So it's not all about contracts. We want to remove ourselves a little bit from the contracts and concentrate on our own nexus in our development approach, which you say establishment of shared facility, industrial, commercial, and housing clusters. What we have designed and what we are promoting is using that development approach for the Niger Delta development conundrum. So today I just want to say that one of the things that I believe can help accelerate, fast track, quick win for development in the Niger Delta and other regional development challenges, using the NDDC as a template because they're about the oldest we can pick, is to use shared facility, industrial, commercial, and housing clusters.
Okay, before we get into the shared facility, industrial, and commercial clusters, let's talk about how the NDDC is established and if indeed it has followed the mandate and we've seen that impact on Nigerians. Very recently, we heard that the NDDC had over 7,000 projects that has gulped as much as 1.66 trillion naira. While Nigerians kept asking questions, of course, they talked about road infrastructure, healthcare, they talked about skill acquisition, they talked about renewable energy projects. And Nigerians, especially in the Niger Delta, will tell you, we have not seen this project. You are talking about 7,000 projects that we cannot see. And so it's not reverberating. We are not enjoying what it means. So there is corruption riddled around the Niger Delta. And if you want it as a template across Nigeria, how sustainable is it? Does the country have enough to be spending like that without accountability?
The problem is not in the policy. The problem is in the implementation and the approach. The template they have been using has been contract-based, elitist approach that does not solve any problem. They just issue our contracts and follow some procedure that does not deliver to the people. It's contract-based. So, but what we are proposing now is a change of approach, a change of paradigm. It is in the shared facility, industrial, commercial, and housing clusters. It's a holistic approach.
Right.
It's not contract-based, and it's not politically driven. That is the thing. Why we have not been able to succeed is that you use the same strategy and implementation pattern to do the same thing over and over again. The money goes away, the roads are not there, there is no development there, agitation all over the place. Now, if you use our own template, which is the shared facility clusters, the infrastructure will be seen, which will include roads, which will include equipment. They are project managed. When you now say somebody gives a contract for skill acquisition, somebody goes to gather some people and package themselves to look good and say they are doing skill acquisition. They are doing training in the US. Some people get stranded. They have trained so many people. There's so much skill acquisition. There's so much skill acquisition center. And they've chopped the bulk of the money. You said corruption now. I say chopping of the money. They just take the money, and there is no integrated regional development approach that, one, is grassroots based, two, is all inclusive. They are project managed, they are not contract based. The key performance indicators are not coming to inspect one building where you have put roof and cut one tape, and at the end of the day, by the time you come back, you see that the place is a ghost school, a ghost town. Nothing is happening. They will say they have done a road, they issue certificates, people claim money. After a while, everybody is quarreling with everybody. People are more interested in becoming board members and issuing contracts rather than the development of the people. The template we have is people and development driven, project managed with tangible, measurable, scalable deliverables that they will deliver per time according to some yardsticks. It's a total departure from the old, the corruption-riddled approach. And we are suggesting it at the federal, state, local government. It's a total change of paradigm. Because if you keep on doing the same thing you have been doing over the years, you will get the same results you are getting over the years. If you like, go and bring 50 professors. They will deliver within the context of the template they are running. If you go...
So we should completely do away with that template?
No, they can be running it parallel. It's difficult and it's not pragmatic to remove the hand of people from the table. They will fight you.
No, I do not understand.
And I'm sure
people listening to us would rather you.
No,
because if you're talking
about... I'm
not
a hypocrite.
No, if you're talking about the opportunity to pilfer, of course, by all means, take it.
It's not pilfer. What we are saying now is that for you to change that, their old template completely, you need to bring a workable template to be working, and everybody say, let's go this way. You cannot just start a new thing. You have to transit.
Not complete overhaul.
Yeah, there will be a complete overhaul.
But not suddenly.
But the two will run simultaneously. Of course, when you see that with 500 billion, this template is delivering value you have never seen for 10 years. Then with 800 billion, these people are not even delivering 10%. Somebody will talk to somebody, say this is the way to go. And the other place you will benefit, but not by stealing, but being a stakeholder. If you are not offering consultancy service, you are offering professional services, you are offering mentoring, you are offering real value that is measurable, and you make your profit. And
something that will cascade to people. I like to think, yes, I like to think
it's
that
the
people are the drivers.
And they will tell you, oh, let's go to Abuja, say to go and do what? In this our cluster, I'm comfortable. We have a helipad.
Exactly.
We are okay. I produce bread in our cluster. And we are supplying to oil and gas facilities by the IOCs, International Oil and Corporations. Gas. You are supplying them rice. You are supplying them bread. You are supplying them fish. You are supplying them other services that are available from your cluster. And the energy power generated in the cluster cascades into the local communities. And the local communities bring support services into the cluster. And the monies that are released for the cluster by way of grants, loans, investments are monitorable, they are measurable, because there are professionals monitoring them. So payback is more structured. So we can have offtake contracts by stakeholders in that place. The last time I checked, the oil and gas facilities in the Niger Delta were more than 167. And these are economic points. So, and every shared facility industrial cluster in the Niger Delta will be a development pole that cascades into the supporting communities. It will reduce the gas flaring, because the flared gas will be harnessed into providing power in the industrial, commercial, and housing clusters, with its attendant needs of social, environmental, hospitality. It's humongous. Right. There are many logistic centers that will supply products and services made in Nigeria, not only to the on-land facilities. Offshore facilities are plenty. So we to create a new life there, complete new life in that area. Like I said earlier, if they tell a Niger Delta young man from Delta State or from Abia State or River State to let's go to Lagos, he will ask you to do what? Let's go to Port Harcourt, he will say to do what? Is there supply there to do? He doesn't need to go to city because they have their recreational facilities, they have their sports facilities, life is complete there, and their relations are not very far. So if he wants to go, oh, but I won't spend my leave, I won't go spend that for Ondo, I want to spend it in Lagos. I'll be there for 1 week. From Lagos, I can now fly to England to see my cousin. Right. And come back and resume work again. Where is he resuming? He's resuming in the depths of the creeks of the Niger Delta, just like Shell have their facilities. Mobil have their facilities right in the jungle, right in the swamps. And they are totally self-sufficient. There are schools, there are everything. So if all these Shell facility clusters, let's assume now they are state by state. That's why I brought them within the context of the states. There are 9 states in the Niger Delta. Anambra has joined the oil producing people. So we put these facilities in all the oil producing facilities. So all the money they give them as derivation money, 13%, gas flare, this and that, that's hitherto, and most of the time are not accounted for. They are now targeted at those development poles to the benefit of all stakeholders. So when you now have agitators, let them agitate for targeted development platforms. Not give us money, amnesty money, NDDC board. People just want to leech on the system. But when we take this approach, the development deliverables are measurable. They are trackable. They are scalable. Of course,
they are key indicators. That
they are indicators.
Exactly.
So and the watchman NGOs that will be watching everybody.
Is this
for transparency?
Is this the suggestion moving forward, or this is what is in place?
It will arise
right
when people know that this is a good template, this is a good platform. The NGOs who will watch, like Transparency International, Extractive Industries Transparency
Watch.
They watch at that local level.
Yes.
Now our work with this.
Right. To ensure that these projects are indeed implemented.
Implemented. So that way you can monitor, you can evaluate, you can report, you can now enforce. Anywhere you see the leakage, government will now be properly guided to come up with either sub-legislations, actions that will deliver to the people. And of course, the contractors will still be eating. But this time, you are not eating free food. Deliver. And we know you have delivered. Okay, we need to build a power plant from gas for this cluster.
Like the NDDC has said, they are supposed to build 700,000 watts for the Niger Delta region.
Leave 7,000 watts.
This is a case of off your mic.
Direct distribution power plants of maybe 20 megawatts, 30 megawatts here, 50 megawatts here. So each one is accountable and independent, but they are all interlinked to an exchange. You don't begin to do it and put it on the national grid. Then if you are doing it in Northeast, I don't see a problem with setting up zonal in clusters where they will transport gas, not even the pipeline that people can sabotage. CNG, LPG can be moved. The way you move your petrol tankers and talk about bridging and the subsidy. No. You can have an industrial cluster in Katsina. You can have an industrial cluster in Funtua. You can have one in Ilorin that it will be big according to the scope of the environment,
right,
population-wise, and what is the area of competitive advantage that they have in that area. Like if we talk about setting up for the people who do the leather and footwear industry, who do the tannery and the leather and footwear industry in Kano, let them have their power supply, direct distribution. So by the time you have about 5 of maybe 5 megawatts turbines driving the process, so maybe you are using 20 at once, so you segment them
exactly
for servicing. So they have 24/7 power supply, direct, not national grid. Let the national grid be supplying the existing urban areas. So we don't have to bother ourselves with urban renewal and wiring, and we'll be looking where is the money, where is the power. We'll be complaining every day. We are tired of complaining. Let's do the right thing. We can now integrate these different clusters. One in Badinkebi, one in Funtua, for the people doing cotton and textile there, for Zaria. Then we resuscitate the industries in Kaduna that have died, and many people have committed suicide, no job. My equipments have rotted away concerning the cotton, textile and garment subsector in Kaduna. So these things can be resuscitated with a new paradigm. Forget about following the approach
right,
that brought us to this commercial state. Yes. So we got to be innovative. And the problem we have, when you now give a suggestion, somebody might just hijack it and they go and implement it without the back end. They don't know. Because if your primary objective is to make money, you will not develop this country.
That's true.
If your primary objective is to be clannish and you are tribalistic, the country will not move forward. You will put your brother, you will put your cousin, you will put your relations, your in-laws, and we are not going. Everything will stop. People will not take money. They are not productive. In the next 4 or 5 years, the money is finished. They will now want to find their way back to government to chop more money, because their lifestyle is not sustainable, because it is not driven from any productive venture. It's consumer, love of foreign goods. If they may even make the money and invest it in made in Nigeria, at least we will know the thing is here.
Okay.
And some of their sins will be forgiven.
There's no forgiveness if you feel that you are corrupt and you have taken
I said at
funds.
least 50%.
50% forgiveness.
Maybe they endure. But if you now collect the money, you take it to abroad, then you are not coming here to seek power to get more money to take abroad.
The forgiveness will be more difficult.
There won't be forgiveness.
Okay. I think this is a good place to go for a short break. I think we've really exhausted the intervention that regional solutions, development solutions can give to MSMEs. But after this break, we'll get into the states, the ministries, departments and agencies, and indeed local government. How can they help accelerate the development within the MSMEs? We'll be right back after this short break. This is still Joyasonyelive. Welcome back from that short break. This is the Buy Naija Hour here on Joyasonyelive, and we've been discussing contributions of states to MSMEs development. That's the micro, small and medium enterprises development. We'll be talking about for the first half hour, been talking about the regional solutions that can really see impactful development. And my guest, Apostle William Otabio, the chairman Buy Naija project, has done a good job calibrating us into how that can happen. Now we're moving on now to get to the states. the MDAs within the state and the local government indeed? What initiatives can they implement to provide easier access to capital? I think that's where we will start. Easier access to capital. And this shared clustered housing, shared facilities, housing and industrial facilities. How can the state champion all of this? That's where we've taken the conversation to. So you do your thing.
Okay. We are now focusing on the state's ministry development, the state ministry departments and agencies. We've talked about talked about them briefly in the NDDC, because NDDC operates in the oil and gas producing states. We said that they have increased from the 9 that was there before Anambra has joined. They have discovered oil in Bauchi. Before you know it, there'll be oil is all over the whole Nigeria. So as we talk about the states, one of the development agencies in the states are usually oil and gas based development agencies that will help target development funds to the oil and gas producing area. So the oil and gas states, they have their own development agency. You have Delta State, the Super Deck, you have Abia Deck, but they are oil and gas revenue-based development agencies. That sort of fund. Exactly. Like you said, we talk about financing. So we can actually build the shared facility industrial clusters around the oil and gas platform, because there's humongous money coming into every state that is oil and gas producing. So we are going to handle them in conjunction with the micro, small and medium development agencies of each state. Many states have, apart from having their Ministry of Commerce and Industry, some have a Ministry of Investment and Trade, whichever configuration, and cooperatives, they come in, they are all development intervention agencies at state level. So those monies can now be targeted to those designated development poles in each state using the same template of sequestration and integration as a development pole. So you can start off by having, since you have 3 political zones, which is senatorial.
Right.
So for equity and fairness, you can set up 3 shared facility clusters per zone, according to the products and services they are noted for.
Right.
And it varies from state to state. Like in many places, it will be basically agro-allied heavy. It doesn't mean that the other subsectors and industries cannot find their way there.
Of course.
But that they will know, like people who produce plenty of rice. So their shared facility industrial cluster will be rice heavy, millet heavy, depending on their, it will be agro. Like there's a state, Kaduna State, there's a local government that produces a lot of pepper, a lot of tomato, a lot of foodstuffs. So the industrial cluster in the zone of the state, the senatorial zone of the state, will take cognizance of the economic, agroeconomic and agro-business of the ordinary rural people and enhance it for more competitiveness, availability globally. If you go to a place like Ogun State, for instance, Ogun State has some serious advantages in water resources. On your dam alone, that watershed on your dam area can support so much agro-based industry, livestock, and they have an idle untapped dam on your dam that can produce hydro.
Wow.
The dam has a penstock. Penstock is where the water passes through to drive the thing that makes it to generate electricity. So you don't say I'm speaking too much grammar.
Is your MSME people that will?
Yes. So you can have a farmstead on your dam area and have the shared facility industrial cluster headquartered in just beyond a little bit after Sangota towards Onyo Dam. Onyo Dam causes flood in Lagos when they open the dam, when it is overflowing. Part of it goes to Ashejire in Oyo State. So that whole Oyo North plus Ogun North, that area will produce so much pepper, tomato, livestock, grass. An agro-based industrial cluster in that area. And I normally tell people the research we did, I wrote a report on the leather and footwear. We picked Ogun State, Kano State, and Abia State for leather and footwear products and other agro products. And link them up by rail. You know why? Kano State exported 2019 statistics.
Right.
Approximately $250 million of tanned leather.
Tanned.
To Europe, in fact, Italy and Spain. All the foreign brands, those big names you hear, Louis Vuitton, Gucci and Co., they get their leather from Kano. Then we imported over 500 million in that same period, $500 million worth of finished footwear products. Then Aba produces more than 1 million shoes the same period. Every week.
I can't help but cut you there. Do governors know what their states have resources for?
They know, but what are they who have believed that report? These reports were targeted, both federal and state. You know, we are talking about states.
Exactly.
Now. And I believe that the new governors are going to wake up. There's no new money anywhere. You have to be innovative
to generate
in your investment. And the MSMEs, don't go and be taxing the MSMEs. Put things in place that will make the MSMEs generate so much revenue that their tax is auto. You don't have to pursue anybody.
And even if when there's money, taxes are not a problem.
It's not a problem. I say it's auto pay.
Yes, but you've talked about several aspects where we can see this resources being.
But if we don't talk about the benefits.
Yes, but I don't want you to lose your thoughts. You were talking about how many clusters can be in
a cluster that can be opened in Aba.
Exactly.
Because presently, without organization as such, they produce like 1 million shoes a week. 1 million shoes a week times the people selling 3,000 naira, the people selling 10,000 naira. That's a lot. So in a year, they produce at least 52 million shoes and other leather products. But the leather they use are imported. They don't use from Kano. So there's need for connectivity between Aba and Kano.
Is it cheaper to get it from across Nigeria, or
it's cheaper if it's organized? If it is organized, because Kano people are more interested in exporting.
But there's local need for.
There is no connectivity. Integration is not there. Information doesn't even exist. There's a disconnect. Then in Sangota area, which is the nexus of Ibadan, Ijebu, Sangota plus Lagos are the biggest consumer of livestock. They butcher so much meat in that axis.
Not to mention the pomo we've been.
But what I'm going to is that all the leathers are pomorized. So we want to start.
I know you are getting there. I was just waiting for when you started talking about
rather than telling people don't eat pomo, that's too much work. We will increase the production of livestock and the capacity to purchase the hides and skins from the slaughterhouses because they are now organized, and we involve the local communities, give them the species of the cows that grow big and we like their leather, the sheep, the goats that are okay, that can optimize a production of leather through increased size of the livestock. We have the livestock.
But it takes me back to the conversation of ranching, where governors were opposing the federal government proposal at the time for having states have clusters of ranching.
You are now talking about ranching of,
because if you have to,
no, when you talk about ranching, it becomes political, because you want to ranch a people's business that has their own template.
A people's
some
business.
People,
right?
There is not within the context of agricultural development. So you can ranch for a set of people who have been doing nomadic farming. That's not my interest.
It should be. If we're
talking,
if we're talking about, okay, let's talk about
the project will die.
Rice, for instance, every Nigerians love rice.
Yes.
And if there is problem, government comes in and gives intervention for the rice farmers. These are the people's farming.
In our agro-based industrial clusters, we produce meat that can be sold to them in Lagos, in Ibadan. Our interest in the leather and footwear is the skin.
Right.
You will buy from those people who are going up and down. They let them solve their political problem. It's not my beat. My beat is that we want to ramp up livestock production.
Okay.
Both those who are nomadic and those who are ranched. It's not my purview to ranch people. My own is to build a shared facility industrial cluster and produce livestock that we can even export.
Okay.
There are cows that weigh up to 1 ton.
I'm sure they are.
The average cow is about 400 kg. The milk production,
that is also suffering.
Hey, it's suffering. Then canned beef.
We've been importing that.
They've been importing that. There's no use. And if you produce all these things, in the water resources, we can produce pythons, alligator, take the skin, send the meat to China or Taiwan. They will buy. Do you understand? The water resources we have around the Aba to Okwa East, Okwa West axis, with the Imo River up to Imo State, you can have farms that produce python, crocodile. You can have them in Kaduna to take out crocodile skin and produce shoes that they buy in Europe. We are certified producers of skin. We produce skin. It's not rocket science.
So how do we get this implementation in the MDAs? We need
now we are targeting states now. And we are telling them where they can get money to build the clusters.
Okay.
We are not telling you to wait for federal government allocation or your tax. You can dedicate the money from the oil and gas, part of it.
How about the states that aren't an oil and gas state?
The ones that are not oil and gas state, they have enough things, allocation based on land mass they receive. They know how to go around it. How come most of the governors have so much money that they take that EFCC will be chasing everybody up and down?
Here we go again.
So they have cases you read in the newspaper. So some of them can be targeted investment that goes to their area of a comparative advantage and their competitiveness in their products and services. They will generate their own power, infrastructure. You know, don't forget that what is the backbone of all the things we are saying is to have a strategy that reduces the cost for MSMEs and leverages them to be drivers of economic development. So I just picked a sector, right, which is like footwear and leather. And to connect those three nexuses, you now put rail, targeted, and of course human beings will go, every other thing will go. Of course. But there's connectivity between Kano and Aba. For the clusters. Aba, yes. Aba and Sango-Ota. Sango-Ota to Kano. It's a deliberate development strategy. And of course, you have investors who know that if you get some people to lay the rail, you can get our local auto companies to do the coach. What is the difference between the bus that Innocent produces and each coach of a train station? Is not the same now. And we have iron and steel. It's not rocket science to do rail.
Do we have the expertise for fabrication?
It's full everywhere. People are building rails. Nigerians, in Canada, in Arab countries.
But our government is contracting it to foreign companies.
No, because it is laziness and sleaze.
From whose end?
No, you don't need to tell foreigners to build your rail. There are Nigerians that have the competence to build rail.
I think that's what we should address. The very fact that we do not believe in the Nigerian expertise.
That is what we are promoting right here, even in this Joyasonyelive. We can produce rail. I told you now 2 points. People can produce the iron. Ajaokuta is lying idle. It can produce the iron and steel for the rail. There is no rocket science between building road and rail. You survey the whole line. Where there is mountain, blast it. Where do you need, there is water, put bridge. You can put 3 lines, 4 lines there. We have iron and steel. You can produce the coaches. Like I always say, Innocent or Pojo can produce the coaches and they put the seat. It's like a bus. Don't be like bus. Anybody who can produce a mass transit bus will do coaches. It's just to join them together. Then put the comfort and hospitality part. It's not a rocket science. You don't need a foreigner to build your rail. We have competencies across the globe. If you make an advert now on this template I'm talking about, yes, you'll be shocked at people who build rails for other countries across the globe.
Nigerian.
A Nigerian owns an airport in England. Exactly. So what is the rocket science? The person who designed the stealth aircraft in NASA is a Nigerian. But those people come back.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask.
Is a Megwali, is an Onitsha boy. With
the bureaucratic bottlenecks that is often faced by local innovators, do you think we can attract this diaspora?
We have started by doing the, what do they call it in pidgin English, the yabbing.
Okay.
Then
so who you the yab we go make them
we come? The yab the people will be the bureaucratic bottlenecks. Say boss abeg, make this bottleneck stop. Or else the bottle go break. Because the boys are not smiling.
Exactly.
So we can build those things locally. If nothing is doing moto, what is in doing plenty moto where they enjoy together, call and rail? Some people will lay the line.
You make it sound so easy.
It's easy.
If there was market for it,
there is market. No, nothing cannot enter it. How would he get authority to build rail? Those people who want to make money, they go and borrow $500 million from China, And at the end of the day, do we know how much they use in the rail? Then China will still build the rail, build the station, and drive the train.
And have stakes in it.
No, no go work. It's not sustainable. You are owing, you didn't generate local content, and we have local competencies, Nigeria and diaspora. That is the value of this program. It is there. It's not, if you don't know it is there, call us. We will show you where it is. If you don't know how to make shoe, how your people can start manufacturing shoe, it's there now.
Okay, so before I let you go, we're still talking about. Can you kindly stop looking at your watch? I'm your ultimate timekeeper.
Okay.
So, Apostle, before I let you go, governors, local government chairman, those heading the state ministries, departments, and agencies, how can they get to understand the need for having shared industrial and commercial housing clusters?
Number one, we may have to make presentation to them for them to know that it's no longer business as usual.
Right.
What we are providing is not what you know before. Those ones have failed. There's nothing stopping a local government in the local government headquarters for having a shared facility cluster in his local government area to mobilize the competencies and also train the local boys. So youth restiveness stops. Everybody will protect his own facility.
Right.
And people will leave town and go back to their village because there are leveraged facilities. Power is available, water is available, housing day, because you have a revenue generation module, you have a business, so you can build a house, you can be paying back to the bank.
Right, exactly.
Simple. The state government guarantees you because you are in the cluster that has a private sector facility manager. Everything is working well. So if it is pepper they are producing in a local government area, they can even do canned pepper there and send to China.
I mean, why not?
Why not? Because pepper is good. Cabbage, no, that is, we see cucumber everywhere. You have large farms, vertical farm, horizontal farm, everything. If you don't know how to set it up, we are willing, ready, and able to harness all the competencies, even in your state. There are many retired people that are not tired to be harnessed to run those things at state and local government level. And the retired people can invest there. You invest in your home.
Exactly.
And all the retired people can have their own businesses running in their village. And they will be the administrators because they've gone through several trainings. Retired directors, assistant directors, desk officers, the permanent secretaries, agric officers. They are how those young people they talk. It's in Yakpa. It's plenty. They're full everywhere.
But the lacuna is within young people who need employment.
Then the elders should let us come together, whether you're a governor, local government chairman, retired politician, people who have money under their bed, who have it anywhere. Let us build
no questions
a structured.
asked.
That's not my job. I don't do another person's job. I beg.
No questions asked. Bring the money.
There are people who do that job. Let them pursue those ones. My job, let us have inclusive, youth-based development strategy that could be managed with retired but not tired mentor elders.
Right.
We have those resources.
Right.
And there are idle monies flying all over the place. Let's harness them and build a better Nigeria at all levels. Maybe our next episode will be talking about other stakeholders.
Yes, I think that's what we'll be talking about. We probably will still have to visit the states, the ministries, departments, and agencies part 2. Apostle William Hena-Chotabiu, thank you so much for being part of the Buy Naija Hour today. You are the chairman Buy Naija project. It's wonderful, and time just flies whenever you're around.
Well, I want the development of the country to fly like the time that flies on
Joyasonyelive. So thank you for being part of the program. Unfortunately, this is where we roll the curtains on Joyasonyelive. But be rest assured, we'll be back next week with so much more. Do have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.